Shalom Aleichem, sweetest friends. This year should be a special schus for Rabbi Yosef ben Chana, Rachel Fradel bas Dvar Peril, Rav Shalom ben Shima, Ha-oseh basita Dvar, Eliezer Moshe ben Shana Miriam, Rafal Chaim Tov Misa Shoshana, Miriam bas Chaya, Rishai Mordechai Ezra ben Rachel Dvar. They should all have Brias Hashleim, Rav Tzidkon ben Chana Marcin Rav Chana, Bracha Batzlacha B'chol Maaseh Yedeyim. The subject of today's shir, is Kol Ha-oseh al Daas Rishona Hu-oseh. The Shaila was asked about a person who had made matzahs with dough, and the first few times he poured the water into the flour, he said L'shem mitzvahs matzah. But weiter, the later doughs, he did not. So the Shaila is it kosher? You have to make the matzah L'shem mitzvahs matzah. But here he didn't say L'shem mitzvahs matzah in the later doughs, only in the earlier ones. So the Biur Halacha says, Simatov Samach Sif Aleph, in the name of the Prima Godim, we don't say Stam L'shma by Matzah, you have to be explicit. And the Ma'aril says in Ochos Pesach on page 10 that you have to say Bepel L'shem Mitzvah, even Ben Nesinas Mayim. So here the Nesinas Mayim in the first Isos were L'shem Mitzvahs Matzah, and the later ones were not. So what do you say? So Nasan Gestetner addressed this in Siman Chov Beis of his Sefer and Chelik Aleph and Laretz Nasan. And we're going to go on his derech, the Gavaldik derech. So in the Gemara in Shabbos, Naftzadi Amud Beis, it says on the Mishnah tells us that if a person puts away a seed in order to plant, to use for a sample, to use for a fuah, so you don't need a shear. If you're motzi a kolshu on Shabbos, person's chayev, because he had this kavana to use it for something that didn't require a shear. So the Gemara says, why do you need to say hamatzniah? Just say if he took it out for that purpose, that's enough. He's also chayiv. So Abaye says, talking about a case of Vada, if he took it out for that purpose, then he's chayiv. We're talking about where he put it away for lezera, ledugma, l'refuah, that you shira b'kol shu is enough. And then he forgot why he put it away. And now he takes it out stama. So Mao the time I might think betule batla machshavtoi. I might say that is machshava. His earlier machshava is batul, because now he forgot his original machshava. He takes it out stum, and therefore you'd need a shear. So kamash milano kol oseh Daas Rishona Hu-oseh. If you do it, you're doing it al Daas Rishona, and since your original Daas, the person's original Daas, was to put it away for something of a very small shear, but kolshu, Memela, what he does later is considered al Daas Rishona. And therefore, in our case, we can also say that since the Isos Harishonos were done lahedya l'shem mitzvahs matzah, later on we can say Kol Ha-oseh al Daas Rishona Hu-oseh, and it's the same thing in Meseches Zvachim and Av Beis Amud Beis. The Gemara there gives an example of l'shman shelo l'shman, that a person first has kavanah l'shem Pesach, and then he has kavanah l'shem Shlamim. Mashma l'shem Pesach Allah and stama is kosher. So you see that stama is okay by karbanis. You do an avodah stama without a kavanah, as long as you don't have to have a specific kavanah, because stam is kilishma, and the Gemara rejects that and says no. And maybe there it's different, because originally, since you did it l'shem Pesach, the diuk is l'shem Pesach l'shem Shlam is no good, but l'shem Pesach for stam is kosher, because Kol Ha-oseh al Daas Rishona Hu-oseh, and what he did later on, the stam is b'seder gomer, not because stam is okay, but because he did it earlier l'shem Pesach. So we could say also in our case that since he did the earlier isos l'shem mitzvahs matzah, the later isos are also fine. Aber it's nish pashut, because that we learn in the Gemara in Shabbos, Kol Ha-oseh al Daas Rishona, so we're talking about the same seed. So since it's the same seed, it retains its chashivas. The Gemara in Zvachim is the same animal according to Rashi. It's talking about tchilas shchita and sof shchita. It's even one maisa, one animal. So you can say Kol Ha-oseh al Daas Rishona Hu-oseh. According to Tosfos, it's two avodas, but still, he did shchita l'shem Pesach, he did kabbalah stama, but also it's the same animal, Kol Ha-oseh al Daas Rishona Hu-oseh. But here we're talking about different isos. In the other cases where the Gemara says this svar menachos tezayin zvachim malaf on the base, also there it's talking about a case of one animal oisa korban. Mele we would say Kol Ha-oseh al Daas Rishona Hu-oseh, but not here. In our case where it's different isos, different doughs. Not only that, but we don't paskin like this svar of Kol Ha-oseh al Daas Rishona Hu-oseh, because we have a sugya in menachos tezayin amud aleph that it says that a person does pigol b'koimetz when he. You know that to be machshir mincha, you need to take the komets, the palmful, and put it on the mizbeach and the levona, and also the frankincense. So let's say a person was mefagel, the pigel, had a machshavas chutz l'zman chutz l'makoma, for half of it. Komets or levona v'lo komets. Rebbe Meir says it's pigel, chayiv kares even for half. Chum say no. You have to be mefagel b'chol hamatir, ein mefagel b'chatzi matir. So this is an interesting topic to talk about if you're still a single boy, going out on a date with a girl. Ask her what she thinks. Mefaglim b'chatzi matir, not mefaglim b'chatzi matir. It promises to be a very short date. So the Gemara says that this machlokes is only when he does the first part b'shtika and the later part b'machshava. Then there's a machlokes. But in other words, he only had this pasal machshava of pigel later. But if he did the first kaimetz b'machshava and then later on b'shtika, everybody holds it's pigel. Because since he did the first part, half the matir, he did al daas pigel, the later one is also pigel. For kol ha-oseh al daas Rishona ha-oseh. Azoyach gesagt the Rav, aber Shmuel dingt sich mit dem Rav, and Shmuel says that adaini machlokes, even in such a case it's a machlokes. Viat gepaskent der Rambam peret hazayin milchus psulam mikdoshim. Halacha zayin hat gepaskent the bechishev b'shas kmitzavlechishev b'shas levoina. Einoi pigel, zok the Mishnah Melech, he paskins ki Rabbanan aliba de Shmuel, that we don't say kol ha-oseh al daas Rishona ha-oseh, and therefore if he was mechashev b'shas kemitza and he wasn't mechashev b'shas levon, it's still not going to be pigel because we don't say kol ha-oseh al daas Rishona ha-oseh. So. Because Rabbanan do not hold of that. Rabbanan don't subscribe to that. Rabbanan say if the later machshava, if the earlier machshava was pigel and later it wasn't, then it's not pigel, and we don't say kol ha-oseh al daas Rishona ha-oseh. So we see we don't pass like this svara. So it's not going to help us in our case. In the tshuvas of the Marit, in Chelek Aleph Siman Lamed Hey, he was asked by somebody who wants to go overseas, and his wife is toiveya, a get, l'zman ploini, and he says, no, I want to get for a different time. And then people came, and they begged him. They said, don't make your wife into an aguna. So he wrote the get for when they asked. Maybe this is a divorce just in case. Akopanim, this guy, they never know if he was going to come back. So that's why he divorces his wife. Mashi batuach batuach. Back then they didn't have texts and emails and faxes. I don't know if anyone uses faxes anymore today. Very few people. But to all the different things we have today, they didn't have back then. So the guy goes overseas. She never knows that he's going to see. She's going to see him again. It's pachat pchodim. But he forgot this tanai that he made, and he wrote a get l'ishto stam. So do we say now we don't know when to write the date on the get? Do we say al daas Rishona ha-oseh, and the get should be given when the husband wanted? Or do we say that the get should be given when the husband originally wanted? Or do we say that the get should be given on when what he later agreed to? Which one? So he brings from a Tosefta and Kiddushin Sof Perek Beis, Ze omer b'mana akad Ze omer b'masayim es kadesh. He says a mana, she says two, to get married. And they went home. Achar kach tavu zeh zeh v'kidshu. Im ish tavas isha yasu divrei isha. Ish tavas isha yas divrei ish. Depends. If the man says to the woman, hey, let's get married. So, yasu divrei ha'isha. Because he's like saying to her, all right, do it your way. So, b'masayim. And if the isha is toiveya, she's saying, we'll do it your way, then it's a mana. So it's muchach lehedya, she'af al pi, she'nasa ha'maisa stam, al daas Rishona nasa. So you see that the maisa is done stam, but it's done al daas Rishona, either the husband's for his daas, or the wife's for his daas. So here also, they you do al das the husband's original das. And the Rambam paskins like this Tosefta. What I don't get is that Das Rishona, the husband's changed his mind. So, Kol Oisel Das Rishona, what we're doing now, there are two Das Rishonas. Usually Das Rishonas, there's only one Das. So he's doing on what he originally thought. But now the latest Das was what he said, that he agreed to her conditions. You see from the fact that the Rambam passed like this Tosefta, that Kol Ha-oseh al Das Rishona Ha-oseh, and therefore we go, if it's the woman being Tovea, she says she wants to get married, she's going al Das, the husband, his first Das. If the husband's being Tovea, he's going based on the wife's earlier Das. So we see that the Rambam does paskin Kol Ha-oseh al Das Rishona Ha-oseh. So how does that stem with the Rambam Psulei HaMukdashim? The Rambam Psulei HaMukdashim says that we don't say Kol Ha-oseh al Das Rishona Ha-oseh. But the Rambam paskins in Hilchos Ishus Perek Zayin Halacha Yates, we do say Kol Ha-oseh al Das Rishona Ha-oseh. So these psakim seem to be soiser each other. However, it would appear that what the Ma'arit is discussing is not similar to the case of the Rebbe Meir and the Rabbanan in Menachos, because Rebbe Meir and Rabbanan were only arguing where they did two ma'asim. In other words, kamatz b'machshava. First he had the machshavas pigul, and then he did the lavona. These are two ma'asim. The other rabbis hold, even though the first ma'asim of the kamatz he did the machshavas pigul, nevertheless it's not a hafkoyah. The second ma'asim of lavona he also did the same machshava. In such an instance, they hold that we don't say al das Rishona Ha-oseh. And also when that's Cholas Shchita was the Shem Pesach, the Soif Shchita Ha-oseh b'stama. So you can say also that Sof Ma'aseyu wasn't the Oisa Machshava Sheba Nasa Tchilas Ma'aseyu. The later Ma'aseh wasn't with the same Machshava but the earlier Ma'aseh. Sof HaMa'aseh wasn't the same Machshava as the earlier line of the Ma'aseh. But here, it's not like two different Ma'aseh. Or the beginning and end of a Ma'aseh. In other words, in the case of the Pigol, the two clear Ma'aseh. In the case of the Shchita, so he started off doing the Machshavas Pesach, and then later on he had a Stama Machshava. So he said that what he did himself relates to what he did at the beginning. But in the case of the Ma'arit, it was Megala Daito, that he only wants to give a get for a certain date. There everybody holds that when he gives the get, he gave it al Das Rishona. You see, they're not two Ma'aseh. He's just klape that very Ma'aseh. He's Megala Daito, but he only wants Man Ploni. And there even Rabbanan agree that he's doing it al Das Rishona. Because there, he gives this get. Now we want to know what date did he mean. So all we have is Das Rishona. You go by Das Rishona, you don't know when to relate it to. So you relate it to Das Rishona. Not the case where there are two Ma'aseh. You could say the latter Ma'aseh was with a different kavanah than the earlier Ma'aseh. There's the beginning of the Ma'aseh Shchita and the Sof Ma'aseh Shchita. So you can say that he had different kavanas. For the beginning was the Shem Pesach, and then later on not. But here he's Megala Daito, that he only wanted to give the date to get for a certain day, at a certain date. And now when he gives it, so what's he giving it for? What's he giving it for? He's obviously giving it for the date that he thought of. You know, one can argue that this is like the Pesach case. But in the Pesach case, he did the Tchilas Shchita. He did the Tchilas Shchita of the Shem Pesach, and then the Sof Shchita, not the Shem Pesach. Here he did the original as Das Rishona was to give it for a certain date. And when he gave it for the different date, the date that the wife wanted. Why not? It's also Tchila B'Sof. The answer is here, there's only one Maisa. And by in the case of Shechita, so it's also one Maisa. But the Tchilas Maisa, you could add one Kavan. The latter part of the Maisa, you had another Kavan. But here, it's not that he's changing his Kavan in the middle of the Maisa. Here, it just relates, this one Maisa that he's doing relates to his earlier Machshava. So there you could say that everybody agrees, Shal Daas Rishona was. Because it's not like two parts of one Maisa. Two parts of one Maisa maybe change his mind in the middle. Here, there's just one Maisa. He's giving the get. The question is, what's the date? Daas Rishona. Again, one can argue. No. He had one Das, and then later on when he did the Maisa, he changed it. Just like Tchilas Maisa and Sof Maisa, he changed his mind. Here, it's also, first he had the Machshava one way, and now that it's actually given, he had a Machshava the other way. And the answer is that we're not going based on his Das now, we're going based on his Das at the time. Since he had that one Das, and now we're doing a Maisa based on that Das, so that Maisa is based on the original Das. And what he thought then, on his Das Rishona. Shenken, in the case of the Shechita, it's a protracted Maisa. There's the beginning of the Shechita and the end of the Shechita. The beginning was with Das, and the later part wasn't. So maybe Stum is no good. But here, all we have to go on is his original Machshava. It's not two parts of one Maisa. Here, this Maisa relates back to that Machshava, and that Machshava Rishona, was for this date he wanted. So we go back to that Machshava. Osel Das Rishona Ose. And besides that, we can say a Chiddush. And that is, that the rabbis argue with Rebbe Meir, and they don't hold Ha-oseh Das Rishona Ose. That's only in the case of Pigel B'Kometz V'Shasek V'Lavona. But normally, even the rabbis agree that Ha-oseh Das Rishona Ose, as we're going to explain. Because L'chora, Rebbe Kash and Rebbe Meir, he holds in Menachos Tez Zayin Amud Aleph, Pigel B'Kometz V'Shasek V'Lavona. It's Pigel, and the person's Chayv Kares. Because Ha-oseh Das Rishona Ose. But why don't we go after the person's Cheskes Kashrus? And why don't we say he didn't do the Levon al Das Rishona? Then it'll be Chayv Kares. We don't hold the particular Rishona. Like the Lecha Mishnah writes, Parakem B'Choshu Salacha Hey, Nishba Sheyochal, V'Achal Ochim Shenerim Lachila, Yatsi Yedei Shvuasa. Because we say, Ach Shevei Lachilasa. Since he was Nishba Sheyochal, Machzikinim Leisha B'Shal She'achal Ochim Shenerim Ach Shevei Lachilasa. He swore that he's going to eat. And he ate ochlim that weren't ruin la'achila. So we say that he was machshiv the achila. Why was he machshiv the achila? Because we don't assume that a person's a rasha. He wants to be yotzei yedei shvuasa. In order to be yotzei yedei shvuasa, he was machshiv the achila. It's considered achila. But when he was nishba that he's not going to eat and he eats macholam she'enam ruin, he's not chayiv. Why? Because chazaka de lo achshiv la'achilasa. Because achzuka ein shebrishil amachzikinah. Person's not assumed to be a rasha. So since when he ate, He swore not to eat, and he ate. By assuming that if you say that he's machshav v'achila, he's a rasha, we don't want to do that. You're not machshav somebody's a rasha. Somebody says he's going to eat and eats machol she'eino ru'yim, he's machshav that achila. But it's a proper achila because he wants to be yotze yedei shuasa. So you see this yisod of not being machshav people delicious. Look in the chinuch in Minchas Chinuch in Reish Pei Aleph discusses this. So why don't we also say that achzuka enish bereshit lamachzikina? And when he shoysek b'levoina, he didn't do it al das machshava Rishona, because then he'll be mechayiv himself kares. So how can you say that when he's shoysek, he does it al das as their earlier das, and he's mechayiv himself kares? The person isn't assumed to be a rasha. So we can explain based on the Mishnah Lamelech in the 10th parak of Gerushin Halacha Yudches, in the name of the Radbaz, that when a person has beer with a nida, we don't say Chazaka ein adam osa bilas bilaz nus. Why? Because he loses cheskes kashrus, he's over on Yisr Nida. So here also, when he was Choshev Machshavas Pigel B'Shas HaKometz, it's correct that he wasn't Mischayev Kares yet, because ein mefaglin b'chatzi matir. Nevertheless, the carbon is nifsal. Avada, the carbon is nifsal, like we see in the Mishnah in Zvachim, Amid Vav Amid Days. Shimnasan kulan ketiknan, ve'achas shelo ketiknan, psula ve'ein bo kares. That if one is not ketiknan, and the rest of them are, it's pasel, ve'ein bo kares. Rashi says, you know why there's no kares? De'ein mefaglim b'chatzi matir. But it's still puzzle because he did one shelo ketiknan. It's talking about when you do various blood offerings. So if he does all of them ketiknan, and one shelo ketiknan, there's going to be no kares. Because they mefaglim b'chatzi matir, but it's still going to be puzzle because one of them he did shelo ketiknan. So when he would passels the carbon al yedei machshavto b'shas hakometz, he's over in Isur D'Oraisa. Like the Rambam says that if a person in Perak Yudches Mepsula Mikdash and Halacha Aleph, that a person is mechashev machshava she'einu nechona b'kotshim, he's over in Elchonon Ehrman. Says lo yechashiv mipir shmor lamdu shebechlal din zeh shlo yafsid kotshim v'machshava. Person's not allowed to ruin kotshim by having a bad machshava. So since b'shas machshavas hakometz, he was already over in Isur D'Oraisa and he loses his cheskes kashrus, so we can then say that when he's shoysek b'levoina, he's doing it al das Rishona, and he's miskavein l'shem pigol, and we don't say that achzuka inish v'rishi lo machzukinan. We don't say that you don't assume that a person is a rasha, because this person you can assume he's a rasha. Why can you assume he's a rasha? You can assume he's a rasha because he had the first machshava was bad. So since the first machshava was bad, memela, the latter one also is. Assume that the latter one is also going to be a pigel dika machshava. Since the latter one is a pigel dika machshava, he's going to be chayav kares. And how do you know you can make that assumption? Fi Rebbe Meir. And the answer is that Ha-oseh, he was a rasha to start with, so you assume he's a rasha later on also. And therefore you say the svar of Ha-oseh Daas Rishona also. But it's still shver, because bishleim in the case of the Mishnah Lamelech, that if a person's ba'al nida, there's no chazaka bein adam osa bilaz nus, because there, since he's over al Isur Nida, which is bekares, Mikol Shekain, he's going to be over on the Isur Kal of bilas nus that doesn't have kares. So there we don't say that a person does a bilas nus when we're talking about a nida. But in our case, yes, he was miskavin machshavas pigul b'shas hakomet, and he passed the carbon, but with this machshava, he was only over on the lav she'en bo kares. So mehechi teisi, that'll be over on a lav she'esh bo kares. And Adarabba, we paskin in Shulchan Aruch and Yoreh Dein Simon Kuf Yotes, that if a person's choshed ala kal, he's not choshed ala chamor. So even though he's choshed on the lav, he's going to mess up this carbon, he's mafsid kachin, he's not choshed on kares. So again, how can you assume that just because he had, according to Rebbe Meir, a bad machshava to start with, he also has the bad machshava weiter? So the answer is that Rebbe Meir is the shitaso. He holds in Bechoros Daf Lamed Amud Aleph that if a person's choshed al davar echad, he's nechshad l'chol haTorah. And Rabbanan argue, and they hold that choshed al davar echad eino choshed l'chol haTorah. So since Rebbe Meir holds that if a person's choshed ala kal, he's choshed ala chamor, so he also holds that since he thought a machshav is pigol, b'shas hakometz, and it turns out that he is a person who's over on a surei lavin, bazoi, he becomes choshed also lavo al iser kares, and therefore he holds that if a person is shoysek b'levoina, he's doing it al Daas Rishona, and he was miskavein lefagel, and he's chayiv kares. So it emerges then that the machlokas in Rebbe Meir and the Rabbanan Menachos of pigel b'kometz, b'shasak b'levona, is taloi, and the machlokas of Rebbe Meir and Rabbanan Bechoros, if a person's choshed al davar kal, is he also choshed al davar chomer? Because Rebbe Meir holds that choshed al kal becomes choshed al chomer, also holds that if he's mefagel b'kometz, and he's shoysek b'levona, we say kol ha-oseh al Daas Rishona ha'oseh, and it's pigel and he's chayiv kares, and we don't say achzuka yenish b'rishi lo machzukinan ubevadei lo niskavin machshavas pigel b'shas halavona. No, we don't say that, because since he already had the machshava b'shas the comments, he's also going to have that machshava. He's over in a doraisa there. We say he's also going to have the machshava weiter, and he puts it on the mizbeach when he does the lavona. When he does the lavona, he's also going to have a machshavas pigel. But the Rabbanan are l'shitasam. The other person's choshed ala kal is not choshed ala chamor. And they also hold that, yes, he's choshev, the kamatz, he's over on a dorais, he passes the korban, but he's not choshev on lavona, because he's over on a lav, doesn't mean he's over on a chorus. And now the Rambam is miyushav. That the Rambam paskins the pigol b'kometz v'shasek b'levoina. The Rambam paskins that it's not pigol, like the rabbis, and we don't say kol ha-oseh al Daas Rishona ha'oseh, because the Rambam is l'shitas and ilchos tumas mishkav u'moshe perkei halacha tes. He holds like the rabbis that a choshed ala kal is not choshed ala chamor. So you can't say that the lavona he did al Daas Rishona, and he was mefagel and mischayiv kares. So we're not machzik people to be rishayim min hakal ala chamor, where you don't have this svara of achzuka yenish b'rishi lo machzukinan. Like in the case of the Tosefta, and in the case of the Maharit, where you had the Shaila of the Kedushin, of the Gittin, what day to write it on, there you can say Kol ha-oseh al Daas Rishona ha'oseh. There the rabbis agree. In the case of the Tosefta, how much money is being given for the Kedushin, you can also say he did it al Daas Rishona. Whatever was decided earlier, either by the man or by the woman. Depending now who initiates, we say, oh, it goes based on the earlier das of the other person. If the woman initiates, it means that she wants to like the husband, so it goes al das al data. Husband, it goes in the lifestyle, it goes al data. So how can the Rambam paskin like that? Because the Rambam holds in principle, kol ha-oseh al Daas Rishona ha'oseh. He just doesn't hold that way. In our case, because the person's, in the case of the pigol, because we don't assume that a person's a rasha. So when a person did the first part with the bad das, doesn't mean he's going to do the second part. So there it's only going to be a lav. So that's in a nutshell al derech hapilpul, a yishuv l'shitas harambam. According to that, you see that you can say sometimes, in general, we do say kol ha-oseh al Daas Rishona ha'oseh, only where there's an isser involved originally. The only thing is that in our case, when do we say Kol Osel Das Rishona also when there's one Maisa? One carbon. But in our case, there are different Isos. There are different Isos who says that it relates, the later Machshava relates to the earlier one. So that's still Avodah Mirz Hashem, hopefully for the next year, to continue discussing this very interesting Shaila. Amen v'amen. Shalom, shalom, sweetest and most beloved friends.